Hello and happy Friday, everybody. Here's coming up tonight on Now. Yesterday, we did a story about a woman from Maine who felt like she was wronged by the company LuLaRoe. We got literally thousands of responses. Today, we do a deep dive on that topic.
Plus, middle school can be kind of a tough place, but an artist is making sure the bathroom becomes a place of inspiration.
And some students go to camp, not to learn about school, to learn about life.
This is News Center Now.
Our email accounts and Facebook pages have been literally blowing up with hundreds of messages about a story that clearly struck a nerve and had a bigger impact than even we were expecting. Hello, everybody. I'm Lee Goldberg.
And I'm Amanda Hill. LuLaRoe is a women's clothing company that relies on people, mostly women, to buy their merchandise and sell it out of their own homes. Now, the company is known for its so-called buttery soft, vibrant printed leggings. It's become a solution for many parents who need to make money but also want to stay home with their kids. But in the last 9 days, the company has come under fire for abruptly changing a policy many of their consultants say left them in the dust and in debt.
These waivers that were in place are no longer in effect, and our original policies are being enforced.
Here's what happened. The company's original policy was this: should you choose to resign, you could send back any unsold merchandise for a 90% refund. Well, then in April, LuLaRoe announced a new waiver, a full 100% refund for anybody resigning and free shipping. They even told consultants that this new policy had no expiration date.
In response, countless consultants handed in their resignation letters. Then on September 13th, the company abruptly canceled the new policy and went back to the old 90% return. Now, we don't have an exact number, but judging from all of the emails we've gotten, at the very least, this left hundreds of resigning consultants in limbo during that return process, unable to get the 100% refund that they were promised.
So we want to be clear. There are also consultants that are speaking out in defense of LuLaRoe. They say that the company does not owe anything to consultants walking away from the business. And Christina Rex is here to tell us now what happened next.
Yeah, Lee and Amanda, yesterday we spoke to one of those consultants who is leaving the business without a profit and instead in enormous debt. And we know she's not alone because you guys have written to us by the hundreds about your experiences in this last week. We reached out to the company LuLaRoe for answers, and here's what we got.
We thank you for your patience, and we'll be with you shortly.
Okay, ma'am, thank you for holding. You can go ahead and send an email to media@lularoe.com and then they'll be able to assist you.
Okay, we did that yesterday and it took quite a while for them to get back to me. There's no one that I can talk to via phone. And it didn't really say anything.
Unfortunately, no, that would be the only way to reach them.
Okay, only via email.
So I sent an email asking what the holdup was on getting consultants their money back, as well as why the 100% refund waiver was canceled. A few hours later, I received an email back with the same statement the company sent me yesterday, and some background info but no direct responses to my questions. The company pointed out it has over 80,000 consultants, many of whom are happy. It also pointed out that entering a business like LuLaRoe is a big risk, and that by even giving back 90% to consultants, the company is greatly lowering that risk.
And now the messages we got were not just people from Maine. They were from all over the entire country. People going through that exact same nightmare, and others who quit the company months ago and got their money back, and others who are still consultants who are very, very happy with their experience, and they totally support the company. So, to kind of boil this all down, we've brought some people in here for a live panel to discuss both their experiences and some legal situations here too. So here's who we have with us. We have Ron Schneider, who's a lawyer in Portland. We have Attorney General Mills, and we have Lisa Record, is that correct, from Lewiston, who you used to be a consultant, correct?
Yeah,
and you
I'm
resigned.
going out of business right now.
She's going out of business from LuLaRoe in the process. And lastly, on the phone, we have Stephanie Mills, also from Lewiston, who is currently a very happy LuLaRoe consultant. So first we're going to start with Stephanie. Stephanie, quickly just tell me, you know, seeing all of this drama that's going on, but you seem to still be happy with the company. So tell us about your experience a little bit.
So I've been with the company since March, and I started with the smallest onboarding package. My boyfriend and I made a minimal investment because that's what we could afford. And I chose at that time to just get the minimum stuff. I bought a couple of racks and hangers and all the stuff I absolutely needed. And every time I make enough money from sales, I place another order. And any extra goes back towards the initial investment. And I've done okay. It's slow and steady, I guess.
So slow and steady, things that seem to be going well for you. We'll come back to you in a minute, but Lisa, you've certainly had, you know, she said she just started in March. It's been a slow and steady going process, but she is making some money. You did not have that experience. What has the last month or so been like for you?
Completely dead. I haven't been able to get into any vendor events. I haven't made any sales. Haven't been able to do anything with the company.
Is this different from what you expected, you know, when you bought in?
Yeah, when I bought in, I was told the clothes would practically sell themselves.
And did that happen?
And that did not happen at all. I would, you know, go to vendor events, not sell anything. Most recent vendor event was August 26th at the main mall. Paid $160 for that vendor event. I sold 2 pairs of leggings for $50.
Wow. Tell me a little bit about the process of resigning.
I had to send in an email saying that I wanted to end my contract, and they just wrote back and said, "All right, you're done."
All right, you're done. And was that in the time when you expected to get all of your money back for returning your merchandise?
Yeah, I thought I sent it in last week, and you know, that's when the change happened, 90%, and that's only on qualified purchases. Like if you bought from other consultants going out of business, that's not covered. If you traded styles that weren't selling with you for styles another consultant have, those aren't covered by the buyback program.
You bought directly from the company?
Directly from the company within the last year.
If you don't mind us asking, you know, what kind of hardship is this putting you in?
Lots, because I got 300 pieces of inventory sitting in my house that I'm going to have to sell to the public.
And Stephanie, if you can still hear us right now, I'm just curious, you know, your response to hearing someone who's had a negative experience like this.
I guess it breaks my heart. I wouldn't say that I've had I haven't made all of my money back, not even remotely close to that. And the first few months were slow for me, but I was also working full-time out of the home. Now that I'm working in my home full-time with, like, not separate from LuLaRoe, I'm able to focus a little more on it. But it makes me sad that someone's had a negative experience when I've had nothing but positive.
She said given the fact that she's had nothing but a positive experience, it makes her so sad to hear that you've had such a negative one. I want to bring our lawyers in here. First, just either of you, your reactions to hearing kind of the process that some Mainers and people across the country have gone through with a company like this.
Right. Well, I think that we have laws on the books, and there are federal laws and state laws regarding business practices, and it's really important that people, when they sign a contract or agree to a sales thing like this, a multi-level marketing scheme, paradigm, that they do so with their eyes open, with all due respect. You got to be real sure of the details. You got to ask around, and the person who's selling it to you, selling the inventory to you, ask them how much have they made over what period of time, and who else have they sold to, and how many other people in your community are selling the same product, because it can become almost a pyramid scheme if you're not careful. Sometimes these marketing agencies are selling the sales, not the product itself. So that's something to be aware of. We have a law on the books about business opportunities. If somebody sells an inventory or items for resale to you to sell of a value of more than $250, they may have to register in the state of Maine and be bonded. So that's a critical piece of information, whether they fall within the definition of business opportunities too. Oh, okay. And there's also small claims court. If the amount is under $6,000 or under, and the entity can be sued in small claims court if there's a violation of the contract, a breach of the contract. So.
Ron, I want to run something by you. We talked about this on the phone earlier, a little bit of specifics with the situation here. I'm just going to read this. So here we have a copy of the contract that every LuLaRoe consultant signs when they onboard. And it says LuLaRoe may create or amend plans or programs as it pleases, and also that those amendments should become effective 30 days after notification to consultants. But separate from that, here's the announcement about the cancellation of the full refund that people like Lisa went through, which says that if you haven't yet gotten your shipping labels, you no longer qualify for that full refund. So that seems to say that it's effective immediately.
Yeah,
do you think that's a contradiction there?
Yeah, they changed the rules in the middle of the game, and when maybe they saw that there were some people who were losing out in this scheme where you had so many people that you ended up with more sellers than customers, maybe, and that you just can't do that. These people relied on it. They said, I'm going to put my blood, sweat, and tears into this, try to make some money, but you've got to guarantee me something. I'll spend money to go to a vendor show. I go to a vendor show, I don't sell, but if I don't sell, if it doesn't work out for me, you're going to give me 100% of my money back. And then they go and change the rules. And apparently there were bonuses that people were eligible for. They're applying the bonuses against the 90%.
Oh boy.
So they've changed the rules significantly to the financial detriment of people, and now they're saying, well, maybe, as we were discussing, maybe they don't have the money to pay people.
Right.
There's so many.
I want to not completely stop this here. We're going to take a break, but for anyone who's watching during this commercial break, you can go to our Facebook pages, News Center Now, WCSH, WOBZ, to watch. We're going to continue this conversation live on Facebook.
All right, guys. Yeah, thank you very much. Please go to our Facebook page. There's a lot of people talking about it on Facebook, obviously, so that conversation will continue. We're going to take a break. When we come back, a pharmacy's new opioid policy is aggressively attacking over-prescribing.
We hear what you have to say about the new 7-day limit right after the break.
And what we're trying to consider as a pharmacy company is what is the appropriate amount of utilization of these medications. We know that we've seen a threefold increase.
CVS Health is taking a drastic step to combat the opioid crisis. They announced that they'll be limiting opioid prescriptions that they believe are too extensive, but they'll also be adding more than 700 in-store disposal units to keep dangerous pills off of the streets.
Here's what the policy would do. For certain acute ailments, pharmacists will not administer more than a 7-day supply, even if the prescription is for more. If it's a more powerful opioid, pharmacists will have the power to limit the daily dosage, and pharmacists will always dispense immediate release pills first. And when dealing with chronic pain prescriptions, pharmacists will be asked to contact the physician if they think the prescription is too much.
So we want to know and now hear from you. What do you guys think? Should pharmacists have the ability to reduce your prescription? Go to pulse.newscentermaine.com to vote, or open up our mobile apps and select the Pulse tab. Senator Susan Collins says we need to help those who suffer from chronic pain, but medical professionals need to take a hard look at their prescribing practices.
But I had a friend of mine in the Senate have a root canal recently, and he told me he was given 50 Percocets. That's just an invitation for addiction and abuse.
Hear more from Senator Collins about her decision on the upcoming health care vote. That's on News Center at 5:30. Meanwhile, our Pulse poll will be open until the end of the show.
All right, still to come on now, we're going to camp. Schools from all across the state come to the town of Noblesboro every year to learn lessons far beyond the classroom. That story is next on Now.
Plus, the full forecast coming up. How about a little inspiration from the bathroom? These murals are painted inside the girls' restrooms in a middle school in North Carolina. Sherry Jackson Link is the artist. She says a parent sparked the idea, and Sherry chose words that would not only uplift the girls who weren't being treated well, but also remind others to be kind. Her work has nearly 65,000 shares on Facebook. Link also writes that she's planning on painting the boys' bathrooms and eventually moving into the elementary school.
I love that. Good stuff. Sweet. All right, so there's a place in Noblesboro. It's been around for more than 30 years, and it empowers kids and adults to contribute positively to society. Hundreds of 6th graders from South Portland wrapped up a week of the Kiev Wavis Education Program today. The program promotes the values of kindness, respect for others, and the environment. More than 100 Maine schools send more than 8,000 kids to this camp every year.
helping kids to really kind of celebrate the similarities that they have and honor the differences. It's kind of like, kind of break down the barriers to help them learn to get along better and make the climate at every school that we work with more cohesive so that they can learn more. And there's not a place in Maine at a corner store, if I'm wearing a Kiev logo or a leadership school or Kiev Wavis shirt, where they will say, I went there as a kid. And that's a really gratifying piece, because now we're obviously into second generation children who've come through. In fact, today there's still folks that have had children there.
And the camp has events booked for about 300 days every single year. Not a lot of time off.
Which is pretty impressive. Usually we think summer camp, but
Yeah, they are year-round.
I never did the summer camp. I like that bathroom. We need to put some motivational.
We could use a little pop. I put you in charge of writing motivational speeches in our bathrooms.
Yeah, see how that turns out. I think I take the Cool Runnings one. I see power. I see pride. The rest of it, I'll put on the bathroom wall.
Jamaican bobsled team.
Anyways, we've got some clouds along the coastline. Total split state forecast, as I mentioned yesterday. Right along the immediate coastline, really nothing in the way of sunshine. Everywhere else, it was a beautiful day. Jose is still hanging around. Jose actually looks pretty good to me. It's currently classified as a ex-tropical cyclone, but it looks as good as it did when it was a tropical storm, in my opinion. It'll just slide to the south and east here for the weekend. So after a few clouds in the morning tomorrow, we're in good shape Saturday afternoon through Sunday, through Monday as well, with a big ridge of high pressure in place. We start really pumping up the warmth, especially on Sunday afternoon and into Monday. Hour by hour forecast here showing you that we've got some clouds along the coastline to start in the morning. We end up though with sunshine by the afternoon everywhere, so no problems there, just a little bit of a late start along the coast. Sunday again, mostly sunny, and watch these temperatures pump up inland into the mid and upper 80s, and I think some low 90s. This is a really strong ridge signal that will stay with us through Tuesday, but if you don't like the heat, there is hope, because a big crash coming Thursday, Friday, and into next weekend. But before we get there, I think we've got a chance of 90 on Sunday or Monday, almost equal chance there of those 2 days. And there will be a sea breeze, of course, along the coastline, so that's worth noting. Good news, guys, it looks like Maria should stay out to sea. I'll give it another model run, but it would take some catastrophic failure on the models right now to have it end up impacting us. So that's good news that Maria will be out to sea. I'll tell you what, though, it'll be a huge change, and this is what New England's good at. I think Monday will be in the mid and upper 80s inland. Next Monday, so after next weekend, it'll be maybe 55.
Wow.
So we're going to have a big swing. I think everyone will be happy at some point in the next 10 days. So there's that.
We can only hope.
Yeah. Well, they'll be happy about the weather.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Thanks, you.
It's hometown showdown time. I'm Jessica Gagne, and I got the best seats in the house, I think. Spruce Mountain hosting Winthrop Monmouth tonight. The Phoenix actually just took the field. Now, these two programs have never faced each other, but that doesn't mean they're not familiar with each other. Back in the day, you were on one side or the other.
It was a rival. From Livermore Falls to, to Jay.
Black and orange.
The Jay Tigers.
Versus yellow and green.
And the Livermore Falls Andes.
Two neighboring high schools divided by decades of intense competition.
Jay Livermore Falls, that was a huge rivalry, so it was big.
Despite that, when it came time for the two schools to talk about merging, it was athletics that helped lead the way.
Kids played together for years in area youth sports, and then they came to high school and they split.
A tough thing for kids who became friends on the field at a young age.
We've always had, been together. I think since 3rd grade on, we've been together.
In 2011, the teams would split no more, uniting as the Spruce Mountain Phoenix and wearing black and green. The schools followed suit 2 years later.
Since we combined, it's just everyone dropped all that. Usually everybody comes to the game, so all the communities here. And everybody, supports us.
Evidence of both schools' accomplishments can now be found in one location, a place that the Winthrop Monmouth Ramblers finally get to travel to again.
Spruce Mountain to come back, it
it brings everything right back to 70s, 80s.
Winthrop has a long history with Livermore Falls and Jay, but hasn't played Spruce Mountain since those schools combined. Now that Spruce has moved to Class D, Winthrop is eager to continue the tradition of competition.
I know a couple of kids from Spruce, so it's fun to get to actually play them because last year they were in C, so we didn't get to see them. So yeah, it'll be nice to be able to play them.
The Ramblers are the visiting team this week, and they don't mind being on the road. It's part of their sports history.
We didn't quite have the facilities for teams to be able to play on their home field.
What they did have was a bus.
And it was an old broken down bus, so that's how we became the Ramblers, because we rambled around.
Nowadays, the Winthrop Monmouth football team has a field of its own to play on, but the students still spend a lot of time traveling to games. Getting Spruce back on the schedule means less rambling and more energy spent on building a new rivalry with the Phoenix.
It's 25 minutes, you know, Route 133. Just looking forward to being there and playing there.
And if you're heading to the game here tonight, make sure to take out your phones and send us your snaps because we've got a special Hometown Showdown Snapchat filter set up. And of course, you can catch these highlights and plenty more on the fifth quarter at 11 o'clock tonight. Lee and Amanda.
Cool stuff, Jess. Thanks. All right, coming up at 5:30, the Equifax breach is still making shockwaves nationwide, but political experts are not confident that Congress will take action to punish the credit monitoring site. Why you need to take matters into your own hands.
And if you've got little ones listening, you might want to cover their ears because animal shelters in Maine are looking for new homes for puppies who have survived Hurricanes Harvey and Irma. You can meet some of those animals in the next half hour.
All right, don't forget to vote in our Pulse poll. Should pharmacists have the power to reduce your prescription? Just a few more minutes. We will have the results right after the break.
All right, quick look at our Pulse results right now. 76% of you say no, pharmacists should not have the ability to reduce your prescriptions.
Thanks for weighing in.
All right, Casey, you're up.
All right, we have to go old school. You're going to have to probably zoom in a little bit on this, Jeff, because the white is just going to blow it out. I found a calculation for how much energy a hurricane puts out, because you hear these numbers thrown around, and I wonder how they derive them. So this is the equation for the power from the wind field from a hurricane. Let's just show you quickly what it goes into this. So 2 pi, that's just to account for the radius and to make it a basic circle. Air density, so you have to figure out how dense the air is in with a hurricane. Surface drag, so how much of the air is dragging against the surface, mostly of the ocean. The velocity, which is the wind speed sustained of the hurricane. The radius of the wind field, and then the dissipation rate, which is how much of the friction is taking away from the wind speed. Bottom line, guys, when I did Irma, 80 meters per second, 178 miles an hour. This is how many watts per second just the wind field of Irma is putting out.
That's a big old number.
This number right
I don't
here,
know how to say that number.
That reminds me of Keith's bank account.
It's like
New Center 530 right now.
I gave you that $20 back, didn't I?